the person.
Evening. Welcome to Truth in Bikini. So today we'll be talking about women, money, and property. These three words, these are three powerful words: women, money, and property. Historically, it is often believed that women are supposed to be caregivers. So they just know that women don't have business with money, not alone properties. So the whole idea about property were owned by men. So women were just, would I say, brought up or raised to only take care of the home, take care of the children, take care of their families. So today we have women now who are willing to own properties for themselves, who are willing to earn, who are willing to stand financially strong. So all these things now are kind of, they are looking somehow, and people now have misconceptions about women owning properties, misconceptions about women earning, or let's just say having that financial independence. Some people believe, oh, if women have properties, that they won't be humble. If they have properties, they have their own money, they want to be the boss of the family, they want to step on their husband's head, so on and so forth. So many lies and misconceptions about women, only trying to put women back in historical or traditional world. So I would like to ask, welcome, Amen. Welcome, Mehitabel. I would like to ask questions. What are those challenges? Because women face these challenges when they want to own properties and also stand firm financially. What are those challenges women face when they want to, when they want to have access to properties and also stand strong financially? Amen. Please let me hear from you. What are those challenges women face?
So, good evening, everyone. I'm not sure I quite get you about challenges that women face when it comes to properties. I do not think that there are any real challenges when it comes to acquiring properties, especially if you have the money and you can afford it as a woman. I don't think that there are people who would refuse to sell to you. I don't think there are stuff like that. But I do know that some things I've heard about the discrimination when it comes to women is maybe when they want to rent out property to a woman. Sometimes it's like, oh, if you're not married, they will not rent a property to you as a single woman. So I do know I've heard stories like that, in places like Lagos, they don't rent properties to single ladies. I'm not sure what the exact reason is, maybe because there's this I think the view they have of most single women and probably maybe the experience most of those people have had. But otherwise, and another thing when it comes to property again is the fact that in our tradition as Africans, in our tradition as Nigerians, most parents do not factor in their female children when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to maybe giving them part of their inheritance, maybe in land or buildings or properties like that. And I think that's one of the things that I know that has been passed down traditionally, that most parents do not factor in their female children into their will in terms of the sharing of their properties, and or maybe their estates. So yeah, those are maybe where I would say, okay, there's been a challenge for women to partake in their family inheritance, and then of course for single ladies to actually get access to rented properties. Most times they kind of like discriminate against single women, maybe because for whatever reason they just have their reasons. But if you're married, it seems like if you're married, you're more responsible as a woman, or you're perceived to be more responsible as a woman. And but otherwise, there's a picture that most people carry about with single ladies. So they just feel, oh, I can't give my property to a single lady. She doesn't look like she'll be responsible, or doesn't want a place where you'll be having different men come visit you. So I kind of feel like over time that's been the only challenge I've noticed. But um, I think that when women are actually financially buoyant, independent, they can actually afford anything they want. And I don't think that I've heard of stories where people have been withholding their properties from selling them all because it's a woman that wants to buy it. I don't know that there are stories like that. Perhaps there are, but I'm not sure there are lots of them. The only discriminations we find are with maybe single ladies renting, getting rented apartments, and the inheritance I talk about. Otherwise, when we talk about financial independence in terms of women getting becoming better with their finances, women actually growing financially, is something that we need to encourage to bridge this gap where it seems like, oh, if you're not married you can't own properties, if you're not married you can't afford certain things, if you're not married you can't own a land, if you're not married you can't do this. But um women need to get to that place where they can afford those things by themselves, yeah. And yeah, when they can afford those things by themselves. And we may not get there if we don't start talking to women to get up and mind their finances. The tradition has been to always maybe lean on a man, so much so that if you do not get married, I mean, we've talked about this over and over again. The average young lady waits to get married to be anything, and so it's like if you if you're not getting married, your life is kind of cut short at that point. When you get into your 20s, the next thing is marriage, and if marriage doesn't come, it feels like you're stranded of some way. So I mean, that's why we need to talk to women. We need to encourage women to do better financially. So yeah, we're talking about bridging the gap in finances, bridging the gap when it comes to property ownership, bridging the gap when it comes to yes, financial independence, and I think that's where we say women can do better in business, women can do better in their careers. Women should understand that they are independent human beings as well, and they have a future, they have a whole life ahead of them, and doesn't really have to be dependent on another human being. I don't know whoever the human being is, but you don't really have to be dependent on another human being to have validation for who you need to be as a person. So yeah, that's my take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would say the aspect of the challenges, yeah, we know it's not common, but it's still there, especially young women. And some of the women who are trying to build themselves even before going into marriage. Do you know that there are some people who don't rent apartments for young women, like the single ladies? Not to talk of let's say who went to rent an apartment and they ask her, are you married? She said she's single. Palava. But you won't hear that
Okay, so it seems like energy also dropped off. Sorry about that. I think it's the network. Okay, so we're just talking about the fact that there's the need to bridge that gap when it comes to women getting into understanding their finances to the extent of making investment, making investments in landed properties, real estate, and just scaling through all of this seemingly this what do I call it now? This challenge that it's not much of a challenge. The fact that, oh, if you don't refuse to rent your apartment to a single woman, she can actually buy her own apartment. But over time, I think that as Africans, as Nigerians, women are not known to get up and do things. Women are not known to take initiative. That's why we find that we find it like it's always a debate to find a woman in politics. Like everybody's debating, oh, should we have a woman here? Should a woman lead, or will a woman be able to lead? Because standard is that women are not known to take initiative about things, so we do not have them a lot in leadership. But we're trying to change that picture. We're trying to change that understanding. We're trying to change the narrative that a woman should just be there and just.
Okay, sorry, my network cut me off. So I was saying that some companies don't give room for women to manage their company for them, especially young single ladies, because they believe, oh, this one very soon she will get married and she'll be leaving the company behind. And some believe, oh, this is a young woman. Even there are some married women, they will tell you without the consent of your husband, you aren't going to get this property. Okay. So there are so many challenges women, young women face, or women entirely face in gaining properties. And also, oh goodness gracious, I don't know why network today is just so bad. Uh,